Alright, there we are. I think, yep.
個人的には、わらわは幸福を望んでいる。
Hey Bear. Yeah, it's coming back to me where we were last time. Okay, let's see what's happening.
どうせ役目を終えるのなら、せめて自分が生み出したこのゲーム版はそのままに保存されることを望む。もうこれ以上わらわのゲーム版をラムダデルタ教に好き放題されるのはごめんなのでな。
こちらこそごめんです。あんたとは戦いに来ましたが、ラムダデルタ教のご友人は私の相手の度を超えます。
Secretly, Erika was getting worried at these complicated developments, and she was relieved that she hadn't pushed too hard earlier on. She wanted to curry favor with Beto and end this with the bloodless takeover. Even the great Lady Lambda Delta probably wouldn't seriously think of picking a fight with the Senate. Her motive was probably something much more trivial, a simple desire to watch the game board's final fireworks from a front row seat. However, if she really did have some fireworks of her own prepared, it was at least possible that this could turn into a ruckus that Erika would have no chance of quelling. Beto saw all of this going on in Erika's mind. So she continued to act with an even more pathetic expression on her face. Even among witches, her acting ability was top-notch.
そなたもどうか力を貸してはくれぬか。わらわのゲーム版が美しい姿のまま保存されるように。
The beauty of the game board. Oh god.
やはりあの賑やかな御仁を客人として招いたのは失敗だった。とほほほ。
わかりました。私もことを荒立てずに済むならそうしたいです。で、私はどのような協力をすれば？
わらわたちはさっきから降伏か降戦か議論を続けている。わらわもそれに戻り降伏を主張し、ラムダデルタ教にこのゲーム版を壊してしまうような大騒ぎはやめてほしいと頼むつもりだ。
それは助かります。で、どうしろと？
わらわたちに議論の時間を保証してほしい。何しろそなたらの船がぐるりと取り囲み威圧しているのだからな。いつ攻撃されるかもわからぬと緊張感に耐えかねてみんな破れかぶれになっておるのだ。だからそなたが我らに議論の時間を保証してくれれば一同も冷静になれる時間を取り戻せるだろう。わらわはラムダデルタ教を説得できる十分な時間を得られる。
いいでしょう。時間はいかほど必要です？
できれば気前よく無制限とはいかぬか。期限があれば結局は残り時間が少なくなるとまたみんな破れかぶれになり過激な意見に統一されてしまう。
そりゃそうですね。導火線で大事なのは火がついているかいないかです。
Hey, Machan.
その議論の前に導火線の長さなどどうでもいいことでしょうから。
ではしばし時間をもらえるか。
Hey, Zeku. That happened last time, towards the end, so it's okay, it's okay.
わかりました。議論の時間を保証します。ただし、無期限ではありません。私はここで皆さんの議論を聞きながら待たせてもらいます。
それがそのだな。そなたの姿が見えていてはやはりみんな緊張してしまって。
私はすでに譲歩をしました。
Yeah, no worries, no worries. You can quickly check the vault if you're curious. I don't know if I had that big of a reaction to it. I was just laughing. The feathers especially are quite funny because they're so big.
今度はあなたが私に譲歩をする番ではありませんか？
And I really like the kitty pirate on it. That's cute. They were some distance away from the arbor, but still just about close enough that one could get a general idea of what was going on. It might just barely be possible to hide the fact that Battler and Lambda Delta were missing. They convincingly pretend to be engaged in a white-hot argument in gridlock. Of course, it's the pirate hat. Okay, I see, I see. But absolutely nothing was safe at this distance. If it were possible, they would rather have kept Erika waiting much further away. They had planned to set up a seat of honor for their guest at one of the far corners of the garden maze.
何か問題でも？
わかったわかった。そう怖い顔をするでない。ならここでしばらく待つがよい。秘密会議であるからな。そなたはだな、この線よりこちらに来てはならぬぞ。
Okay. Beto drew a line in the ground with her foot.
わらわの顔も立てよ。そなたがこれだけ寛大な配慮をしてくれたことは、わらわにとって何よりの武器となるのだ。
椅子もらえます？
わかったわかった。シエスタ隊よ。すぐにエリカ殿にお椅子と傘を。
The feathers are so fabulous, they don't even fit in the screen. They're like, whoop, out there.
手ぬぐいもな。わらわが自ら拭いてピカピカにしてから差し上げようぞ。
お嬢様、守備はいかがでございましたか？
なははは。今年の主演女優賞はわらわで決まりだぞ。
さすがベアトリーチェ様。
僕たちにできることは激論を交わし紛糾し、ことがこじれれば面倒なことになると演出することだけだ。
Just that, only that.
これもまたバトラたちを援護する戦いである。皆気を引き締めよ。本気で激論し罵倒せよ。よいな。
Oh god.
はい、親方様。
Koda's voice. Oh my god. The sight of Koda, his cheek red and swollen from being pinched, made everyone snort, but they quickly covered their mouths and put fingers to their lips. Then everyone nodded at each other and the fake argument resumed. Erika was sitting in the chair that the Chiesto sisters had brought her, filling a goat in on the details of the negotiation. The goat would probably return and tell the rest of the fleet. The fleet would tell Barncastle, and Barncastle might think of some plan to deal with the situation or give new orders. The conversation with the goat ended and it spun around. It would return to the dinghy. Oh god, again, I don't know how to read that. I forgot to check on it. And report on this to the fleet. It left the rose bushes behind and passed through the garden maze, heading towards the door that led outside. Would it really be okay to let that goat reach the boats? If it made it back, Erika's report would reach Barncastle's ears. The Chiesto sisters spoke through a secret channel that only they could use.
2秒に音も許さないにもうじきエリカの認識半径を抜けます。船頭のヤギの認識半径に到達するまでの推定10秒間暗殺。
ベアトリーチェ卿、暗殺許可をやれます。エリカに気取らせません。
許可しない。軍師が制限時間を切らずに船を出ると思うか。連絡がなくば決められた時間の後に攻撃を開始せよと命じる。そのヤギを見逃せ。
WO 了解。
The goat passed through the door. Then, after receiving a silent bow from Shannon and Cannon, it got on the dinghy and returned to the fleet. The fleet would probably follow Erika's orders and stand by until an attack order was given. That gave the residents of the Golden Land a chance to assassinate Erika, but of course that wasn't going to be possible, practically speaking. She was Berncastle's greatest underling and a witch who controlled truth. Tricking her was all they could hope for. Anything else would be wishful thinking.
あんたたちも座ったらどうです？我らのことはお構いなくであります。
Without any hint that she had just been talking about assassinations, Double O stood upright with her hands clasped behind her back. Surrender or resist until the end. The false argument resumed. Just how well and how long would they be able to trick Erika? Yes, the final fight for the Golden Land had already begun.
バトル、ここは我らに任せよ。そなたはエンジェと最後のゲームを取り返すのだ。
Ay.
Oh. なんてバカでかい図書館だ。
この一冊一冊に私たちのような物語が記されてるんですって。
ここは神様の世界だな。
あんたたち風情が立ち入っていい場所じゃないってことが一目でわかるでしょ。
After passing through the barrier, the three of them had finally made it inside the City of Books. For some time they were overcome by the countless otherworldly sights before them, but they quickly remembered their original objective.
いい？まず勘違いしないでほしいの。あんたたちはベルンと戦いに来たわ。でもそれはベルンと直接戦って倒すとかそういう意味じゃないんだからね。
分かってる。
そもそも大ベアドリーチェと互角にあんたが戦えたのはゲーム版の上で互角なルールに守られて戦っていたからよ。ゲーム版を出ればあんたなんかバチンって叩かれて手のひらのシミになる程度の存在なんだからね。それを忘れるんじゃないわよ。
そうよね。ここはもう私たちの知るゲーム版じゃない。
俺たちは戦いに来たんじゃない。取り戻しに来ただけだ。
そういうこと。一なる真実の書の公開を妨げること。それだけが目的であんたたちの戦いなんだからね。そこを勘違いしちゃダメよ。
Battler and Engine nodded to show their understanding.
一なる真実の書はパーティーのど真ん中に堂々と飾られてるから奪い返すのは不可能よ。
Oh. Oh. I don't know.
でも式次第によると鍵が入場してくることになってる。
ということは鍵は別の場所に保管されているわけか。
そこが無防備という保証はないけどね。
あとはあんたたちの運次第よ。せいぜい幸運を祈るのね。隠れて。
Lambda Delta pulled her head back from around the corner of a bookshelf. The others hurriedly followed suit. In the distance, they saw emerald green lights floating about and leaving trails.
「あれはベルンの使い魔の猫よ。今日はあちこちを巡回して見張っているわ。」
私たちが来ることも読まれてる。
違うわ。ここは広大だからね。迷子になるアンポンタンな来客を迷子センターにお連れするためのスタッフ猫よ。
The Lost Children Area.
俺たちが行きたいのは迷子センターじゃねえからな。
見つかりそうになったらやる？
よした方がいいわ。よその領地やゲーム版ならともかくここはベルンのホームグラウンドよ。 あの猫一匹で猛獣の群れに囲まれたくらいの危機感は持つことね。しかも猫よ。勘も鋭いし仲間も呼ぶわ。気取られたらその時は覚悟しなさい。私も助けないからね。あんたたちをここへ連れ込んだだけでかなり厄介。私が降参すれば裸にひんむかれて最悪のゲルカスかけら巡り100年くらいで許してもらえるかも。
Okay.
素敵だわ。私にもベルンの気持ちがちょっとは理解できるようになるかもね。
Lambda Delta wasn't laughing. Most likely, even this punishment she spoke of was pretty optimistic. Despite saying that she won't offer any more help, she's already risking everything. And for what?
決まってんでしょ。
Lambda Delta brushed her hair back and grinned.
あんたたちが最高のハッピーエンドを見せてくれるからでしょうが。
Aww! Oh, this is so cute! Oh, I love it. Lambda Delta hugged their heads at the same time, making their foreheads bonk together.
見せなさいよ。絶対。
お、見せてやるぜ。絶対のハッピーエンド。
Aww.
絶対に取り返す。行くわよ。こっちよ。静かに泳いで。
The three of them swam out into the darkness of the deep ocean trench that was the City of Books. In that massive, vast trench of bookshelves, they vanished into the darkness almost immediately. The library defied the common sense of the human world. The City of Books, the word city was no exaggeration. And it was filled with the green, glowing eyes of Berncastle's countless cat familiars. Trying to count them would be almost as crazy as counting all the fish in the ocean. They formed schools that swam all over the place, on the lookout for any fools who might miraculously have managed to slip in and disturb their master's party. If Battler's group was found, the cats would report it instantly. They would probably form a pack, open their large mouths and swallow them in a single gulp. There would be no fight. In this place, Battler's party would be swallowed like tiny fishes if they were discovered. The warships surrounding the Golden Land were well more than 100 strong. Each of them had dozens of cannons pointing at the door to the Golden Land. The goats that packed the decks of the ships numbered in the tens of thousands. Each one of them carried anti-magic toxin in their fangs, potent enough to completely deny each of the game board pieces one by one. This time they would chew apart and eat away everything. The crowd of goats unleashed their rotten breath and dangling drool. At that time, Erika, who wanted to avoid trouble and hoped Beato would be able to convince Lambda Delta to surrender peacefully, was sitting alone, calmly enjoying the tea Ronald had poured for her. Of course, even Erika wasn't planning to give them unlimited time. In her mind, she had already decided to allow them 3 yawns before stepping. What kind of time measurement unit is that? 3 yawns. Oh my god.
意外に悪くないものですね。あのベアとか敗北主義者と罵られながらみんなを説得してるのを眺めるもの。
あの短気だったお嬢様がよくそここまで大人になられたものです。
何がおかしいの？
いいえ、失礼いたしました。次の紅茶はいかがです？古今東西あらゆる名茶をどうかごゆっくりお楽しみくださいませ。
ラムダがベアト側について徹底抗戦。仲間を集めて
まさか冗談でしょ。
The messenger cat shook its head, then continued to dispassionately meow its report.
ラムダだってそこまでバカじゃない。アウアウを敵に回すような真似をするとどういうことになるか。
Even as she said this, Barncastle was chewing away at her thumbnail.
あの子、ああ見えて妙な友人が多いのよ。それにとびきりの化け物で物好きな連中がね。それでも元老院に立てつく側につくのよ。
It was possible. She could think of many monsters among Lambda Delta's friends who would love to see a losing side get support and make a comeback victory. Before she realized that the finger Barncastle was biting was covered with sweat.
やりかねない。あの子、たまに本当にバカだから。電話よ、早く！
The cat leapt away, then flew back with the phone and receiver.
あの子の友人たちに電話するわ。バカなゲームに関わらないようにって警告しなくちゃ。電話番号。なんで私って番号登録してないのよ。ええ、そうよね。私、友達ゼロだもんね。電話のお作法って最初はもしもしでよかったんだったかしら。
Hi, Tostaters. Hi, hi. Hi. The golden key was being kept in a room inside the City of Books. However, perhaps room wasn't a fitting word to use. It was large enough that you could probably fit two domed baseball stadiums in it, one atop the other. Even so, in the city, these were called rooms. Oh, sorry. I guess that was one yawn. Floating in the center of this vast room were several sacred magic circles. Wrapped around by these magic circles was Enja's gold key, sorry. Yeah, it's a nice song. Surrounding this were countless emerald green stars, which looked like a slowly revolving planetarium. Those eyes, as numerous as the stars, were all glaring in the same direction.
いやーね、怖い目をして。私は味方でしょ？忘れた？
One of the cats kitty-paddled towards Eva, meowing that no one was allowed to enter this room.
ベルンカステル卿よりこの鍵の警護を仰せつかったわ。だからここは私に任せて、あんたたちはどっかに行っちゃってちょうだいな。
After looking at each other with suspicious eyes, the cats glared at Eva again, as though saying that they hadn't heard any such order.
ところで、猫って体柔らかいのよね。じゃあ、噛めるわよね。
Eva lifted up her golden staff and a circular pattern of red lines covered the floor and ceiling of the vast room. Hey, Chdarin! There you go, Bea. Chdarin is here. The reaction from the cats was lightning fast. They realized instantly that this was hostile behavior. The entire emerald green constellation writhed and became a single massive deep-sea fish which charged at Eva with its massive mouth open wide. Ay, 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 ay. However, at the same time, the red lines, the massive spiderwebs on the floor and ceiling, came crashing together and crushed the fish, twisted it, spun it around, and compressed it to the size of a small ball. Then that ball-shaped thing burst open, leaving nothing left. Leaving nothing left? Oh my god. It all happened in an instant.
へそでも噛んで死んじゃえば。
For once, I'm enjoying that line. The witch hunters were holding a convention in the event hall. After all, once Sushiromiya Eva's diary was opened, the endless cat box would be lost along with the countless imagined stories that had entertained them for so long. So this final convention was a time for them to air their best theories one last time. The cat box was soon to be opened, and while that did give them a slightly lonely feeling, they couldn't contain their excitement as intellectual rapists. Not when they knew that the Rokkenjima mystery was finally going to be solved once and for all. There was a girl out there who was going to be hurt by the opening of that box. However, their jaws and fangs couldn't care less. The witch-hunting goat nobles kept licking their lips, wanting to chew apart the guts of Beatrice's cat box as soon as they could. Seated upon a grand throne the size of a pillar, Featherine listened in on the nonsense being spewed from the mouths of the goat nobles. A black cat wearing a cape silently appeared and whispered something into Featherine's ear.
いいや、よい。すべて私の筋書き通りに進んでいる。巫女の耳には入れずともいい。
The cat bowed humbly and vanished. Featherine raised her wine glass high and laughed as she looked through it to the light of the chandelier, which was as beautiful and majestic as the
これ
moon.
で素晴らしき朗読への恩には十分であろう。人の子に。はて、物語を紡いでいるのは誰なのか。私がそなたに、それともそなたが私なのか。これをどう思う？
罠か。
As Battler's group moved forward, darting from bookshelf to bookshelf while avoiding the eyes of the cats, they found something strange. I mean, I guess the song just keeps playing throughout these scenes, and depending on how fast I go through it, it's just gonna keep repeating, right? Written with a faintly glowing red substance was a letter and an arrow. Okay, K. That's what it looked like to them.
K は鍵を意味してると思うか。
私たちが近づいたらこの文字が浮かび上がった。これは私たちに向けてのメッセージよ。
ここに私たち以外で味方をしてくれる誰かがいるってこと？
いるのかな、俺たちに味方なんて。
Enja traced the red arrow with her finger. It was written with very faint, thin strings that had been twisted together. Sticky red strings that, when touched, melted like cotton candy and clung to the fingers.
味方よ。私の一番の味方よ。
どうして保証できんのよ。
いや、俺にも分かった。ラムダ、これを書いたやつは信用できる。多分安全に鍵のありかへたどり着けるよう誘導してくれているんだ。
いいのね。じゃあ行きましょう。あまりもたもたしていられない。
ありがとう、お母さん。
In the arbor, the argument over whether they should surrender or fight continued without signs of stopping. I Every now and then, a small fight would break out, which fortunately ended up delaying Erika's third yawn. However, they didn't know how long they would have to continue this fake fight. Keeping this high level of tension going was physically stressful. The instant they tired out and the tension faded, Erika would probably demand a verdict. They had to constantly appear to be trapped and agitated. It was a battle of wariness and tension. This was their fight. Erika waited patiently. Now that she had tired of tea, she was watching Renoa perform some magic tricks and seemed to be quite enjoying herself. Even Renoa, who was usually aloof from the world, was fighting. If Erika got bored and lost her patience with them, an all-out attack would probably begin at once. Even he was putting everything he had into the fight to buy time for Battler's group. As the fiercest leader in the argument, Beato wore out the quickest. She breathed heavily and her face was so pale it seemed she might faint at any moment.
ベアト、しっかり。そのテンションを続けてたら体力が続かない。急に泣き出したふりをしてしばらく休んで。その間を私たちがつなぐわ。まだ大丈夫であると。やるぞ。もう一度大きく騒ごうではないか。行くぞ。さあ誰から行く？一番槍の欲しいものは。
ではゴーダ、参ります。ここは戦うべきです。戦わずして敗北を受け入れることなど言語道断です。私は最初からここは戦い抜くべきだと申し上げております。
ちょっと待ってください。
Aye. Erika suddenly rose from her chair. The music stopped, so I hope this is fine, Moth-chan. I don't know. Renoa tried to coax her back into her seat, but Erika's attention was completely focused on those arguing under the arbor.
私は探偵です。
Okay.
聞いたことは録音するかのように記憶できます。
それは無論知っているとも。そなたは優秀な探偵でもあるからな。
あんたに興味ありません。ゴーダさん、私の質問に答えてください。
はい。
Don't bully Goda.
私めが何かご無礼をいたしましたでしょうか。
ちょっとお待ちください。戦いを望まぬ者がいることもお忘れなく。私は降参が良いかと思います。私がここに訪れて一番最初に聞いたあなたの発言です。ですが今あなたはこうおっしゃいました。ここは戦うべきです。戦わずして敗北を受け入れることなど言語道断です。私は最初からここは戦い抜くべきだと申し上げております。そう言いました。
いや、そんなことも申し上げたでしょうか。
議論の中で意見が変わることも時にあるかと思います。
そうですとも。他の皆さんも先ほどからどちらがいいか迷っておりまして、時に意見を変えられることも。
いいえ、あなたたちの議論は一貫して誰も意見を変えていません。たった今唐突にゴーダさんだけがその主張を逆転させました。しかもゴーダさんに対する他の人間からの発言を振り返っても彼が主張を逆転させるに足るものがあったとは思えません。
Ah, I see, Moth-chan. Okay. Generational choke. He was just trying to do his best, okay? An uncomfortable damp wind blew by. Everyone was silent, frozen as though time had stopped. In that silence, Erika continued with a blank expression.
以上から導き出される推理は2つです。1つはゴーダさんにもともと意見はなく、その場の雰囲気で適当なことを言う いい加減な人間であるこ
That's so mean.
と。もう一つは合田さんに限らず、そもそも誰も意見などなく、議論そのものがあなたたちの目的であると。
それは考えすぎではないか。わらわたちは必死に今後の運命を議論している。時に普段は考えられぬ心変わりがあってもおかしくはない。
意味もなく議論を延長することに意味があるとすれば、時間を稼ぐこと。あなたたちは時間を稼ぐと何が有利になるのです？ラムダデルタ教の援軍がやってくるからですか？それも違います。なぜならあなたたちは先ほどから時折ラムダデルタ教やバトラに話しかけているのですが、それに対する返事が一度たりとも私の耳に聞こえません。以上すべてから考えて導き出される推理は一つです。
No Gota vs. Erika cooking showdown this time, I'm afraid. No wonder some readers rejected episode 8. Well, she's cooking right now, alright. That Lady Lambda Delta and Battler are not here now. And that these people have won Lady Lambda Delta's assistance, with Lady Lambda Delta and Battler probably planning to sneak into the city of Focus. In which case, their goal is probably to steal back the Golden Key and engine. And your plan was to act as bait and buy time until their mission was complete.
ただゴーダさんがセリフを言い間違えるだけで、フルドエリカにはこの程度の推理が可能です。いかがです？皆様方。
With a blank yet ruthless expression, Erika spoke these words and returned to her seat. Everyone else was frozen, unable to move. No one spoke. However, time was moving. As evidence, a bead of sweat dripped down someone's cheek, fell, and hit the table with a tiny yet audible splash. Okay. Then frozen time shattered, and in the same instant, the white chair Erika had been sitting in broke apart. The stakes of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory and the high-velocity rounds from the Chester sisters had obliterated the chair at exactly the same time. Poor chair. And a few moments after that, the Erika sitting in that chair faded and vanished.
Zanzo! Hayai! Korase!
In an instant, Erika had moved to a spot behind the chair. Her expression remained as blank as it had been. However, there was now something in her hand that wasn't there before. As the 7 lightning strikes of the Seven Sisters raced at her once more, she battered all of them away with her scythe. On whose side are you now, Bear? I'm confused.
とんだ茶番でした。でも紅茶は美味しかったですよ。では皆さんの意見は最初から統一されているようですし、改めましてお返事をお伺いしましょう。
Erika lifted her left hand, the one that wasn't holding the scythe.
よかろうぞ。わらわが答えよう。ここはわらわの我らの黄金鏡。土足で踏み入るならば相応の歓迎をしようぞ。つまりだ、上品に一言で言うとな、
全訪問、攻撃陣、目標、黄金鏡。
味噌汁で顔洗って出直してきやがれ。
Go wash your face in miso soup. What? Okay, I didn't know this could be something negative that you could say to someone. What?
打ちやれ。
そう、ありがとう、それじゃ。にゃん。
Bernkastel set down the receiver and crossed out yet another name on a list of Lambda Delta's notable friends. Something was wrong. No one she called had heard anything from Lambda Delta. They weren't just playing dumb. They really knew nothing about the strange ruckus Lambda Delta was trying to stir up. Even Burncastle was starting to suspect that something was fishy. Then a black cat leapt in and meowed a frantic report. She tore the phone receiver from its stand. The number she dialed was short. It was probably an internal line. However, after listening to it ring several times, she slammed the receiver down again, finally managing to break the phone. Overwhelmed with emotion, Burncastle kicked the table over. Then the room finally grew bright. It was like green sunlight. A bright green light waved about, giving the illusion that the green sun was rising and lighting the room up. It was a sign that Burncastle's army had been given an emergency summons.
さあおいで、子猫たち。魔女狩りの時間よ。あの子はキャンディーの匂いがするからね、すぐに見つけられるわ。最初に見つけた猫には人の姿と魔女の称号をあげるわ。
What was now an emerald green nebula let out a roar of delight that shook the bookshelf cliff. Oi oi oi. The music is stressful.
何かが追ってくるわ。
なんだあれは緑の。
隠れてバレたのよ。
The three of them frantically hid behind the bookshelf. The room with the key in it was straight ahead. They could see something glowing faintly in the darkness of that room. It was a glow different from anything else they had seen so far in the city. The color it glowed was gold. They had almost reached the golden key. However, if they went towards it, Burncastle would be right behind them, along with her vast swarm of familiars. In other words, they were trapped in a dead end. Yeah, the music is super hype. They already knew that the emerald green color came from the eyes of the familiars. However, it was almost beyond comprehension that this undulating green sun could be the same thing, and they could do nothing except stare in wide-eyed shock. As the countless cats approached, they passed through the ravine of bookshelves, from the very top to the very bottom, painstakingly checking the gaps between each book. However, even this mind-numbingly huge task was accomplished swiftly thanks to the sheer number of familiars. With the speed of a gust of wind, they carefully checked every nook and cranny. There was no way to hide from this green sun. That would have been as foolish as trying to hide from water on a sinking ship.
やり過ごせるの？
無理だ。あれじゃどこに隠れても見つかる。
Battler was just about to leap out from the shadows, but Lambda Delta grabbed him by the collar an instant before.
戦う気？
違う。ここに留まっても見つかるだけだ。なら前へ進むしかない。一刻も早く鍵にたどり着くんだ。
鍵を守る猫がいないわけないでしょ。私たちは挟み撃ちにされたのよ。
私はエヴァおばさんを信じる。おばさんが私たちをここまで導いてくれた。きっとおばさんは見張りの猫たちもやっつけてくれているはずよ。
俺も同感だ。ここにいて見つかるくらいなら一刻も早くあそこにたどり着いて鍵を取り返そう。鍵さえ取り返せればもう誰もあの本を開くことはできない。
あそこにたどり着いて鍵を手に入れて、それであそこ袋小路よ。逃げ場ないのよ。分かってる？
それは分かってるけど。
鍵は切り札になる。ベルンカステルになって鍵は重要なんだ。一か八かな。 鍵をカードに何かの交渉ができるかもしれない。
あのベルに交渉？あんた正気じゃないわ。
だがここに隠れてても絶対に見つかる。なら100億の中の一つの確率だとしても俺はそれにかけるぜ。鍵を手に入れ、それを切り札に。
奇跡の魔女を相手にあんたは奇跡を祈るわけ？
天文学的数字の中に1を拾う。それが後ろ宮家の魔法ってやつだぜ。
私目がいいから教えてあげる。
Yeah, hey Vibera, we're just floating here in Book City, yeah. I've got good eyesight, so let me enlighten you. Okay, Lambda Delta. Enlighten us. All or nothing, yeah.
あの黄金の鍵を取り囲んでる魔法陣、わかる？あれは簡単だけど、なかなか堅牢な結界よ。触れば壊せる簡単な結界だけれど。
2020 version.
でもね、どんな大魔女でも人間風情でも解くのにかっきり1時間をかけるというたちの悪い封印なのよ。
Yep. It is, yes. You're spot on, Tostatus.
式典の進行上、まだ1時間前にはなってない。つまり私たちは1時間稼がなきゃ鍵に触れることさえできないのよ。
We still have that hour, but it means that we won't be able to push key unless we can buy all the time for. Alright, so they're delayed by 1 hour, okay.
エヴァおばさんはきっと見張りの猫たちをやっつけた時、魔法陣も壊してくれたに違いないわ。
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure, Tostatus.
1時間はかからないはず。
見る限りまだ魔法陣は健在ね。残念ながらエヴァがそうしてくれたとしてもそれは1時間以内の話みたいよ。
1時間なんてちょろいもんだぜ。少なくともそれだけ粘れば手に入るという明白なゴールがある。
そうね。
Man, this particular track though, it's like which one is this? World and Dominator. This particular part of it is just so much hype inducing. I don't know if I can handle all of this hype inducing music. It's wearing me down at some point.
いいじゃない。1時間の鬼ごっこ。
We need some kitty jams in chat. They work really well with this song.
私、こわもてに追いかけ回されるのには慣れてるの。
あんたたち船着きのパー揃いね。ベルンとあの数の猫を相手に本気で鬼ごっこをさせてもらえると？
確率が 1% でもあるなら
俺たちが絶対にそれを掴み取ってやる。
There was an immense difference in enthusiasm between Lambda Delta and the siblings, who had nothing left to lose. However, this was by no means cowardice on Lambda Delta's part. She was a great witch of the Senate. If she surrendered, she wouldn't be able to escape severe punishment, but she would be forgiven after a few hundred years. She had been thrown into a stormy sea while clutching a boy that could save only her. How could she possibly decide to throw that away? I don't know how to read that again. I'm so sorry. Nautical terms. Not really my cup of tea. There was no way a person with a life to lose could be as determined as those who were already gambling everything. Oof. No one could blame her.
ああ、もう本当にバカだわ、あんたたちは。仕方ないわね。1% よりもうちょっと確率が高くなる作戦を。ズバリなんだと思う？
The two siblings looked at each other. However, they both thought that any plan would be worth listening to, even if it would only raise their chances by 0.00001%. Alright.
生贄よ。ベルンは猫だから 逃げる獲物は追うけれど逃げない獲物は殺す。それもネチネチといたぶってね。
はい。
最悪ね。
しかしそれが本当ならかける
生贄を一人じゃんけんで選びましょう。負けた子はベルンをたっぷり超外して笑わせて殺されて1分1秒でも時間を稼ぐ。それでいいわね。
じゃんけんはいらない。俺がやる。エンジェとラムダは鍵の部屋へ行ってくれ。
ダメよお兄ちゃん、私がやるわ。元はといえばこれは私の責任。
Yeah, but it has to be you, right? This is all about
ベ
you.
ルンカステルの言葉に耳を貸し心を許した私の責任なのよ。だからあいつに一言くらい言ってやりたいのよ。
Both Battler and Enja decided to be the sacrifice and wouldn't listen to the other.
じゃんけんじゃないと決まらないでしょ。さっさと決めないとこの作戦も使えなくなるわよ。もうじき連中がやってくるわ。
俺かエンジェが生贄をやる。ラムダデルタは残った方を連れて鍵を奪ったら黄金鏡に連れ帰ってやってくれ。
譲らないわよお兄ちゃん。
ふざけやがって。たまには兄らしいことをさせやがれ。
時間ないわよ。じゃんけん一発勝負。私超パーだからそれにちなんで最初はパーからね。いい？二人とも。
I'm super paper with a head full of confetti. Okay, okay, Lambda.
いいわ。
エンジェ恨みっこなしだぜ。
せーの、最初はパー。
It really was a stupid, childish game of rock, paper, scissors. Despite promising to start with paper, they threw different signs to catch each other off guard. Both Battler and Enja chose rock, and yet it wasn't a tie. Because in addition to those two rocks, was one person who chose scissors. After staring stupidly at their fists and those scissors, they looked at her.
ちゃあ、最初はパーだからチョキ出して一人勝ちしてやろうって思ったのに、やっぱりパーはパー出してなきゃダメね。
There had been no reason for Lambda Delta to join in on the game. This wasn't the time for a joke like that. Battler and Enja, each trying to lose, chose rock. Lambda Delta alone chose scissors.
あんたわざとチョキを。
お前に死なれたら俺たちは黄金鏡に帰れないだろうが、こんなの無効だ。
ほら、これで大丈夫でしょ。
Lambda Delta made a clenched fist. A fragment glowing pale blue appeared there, and she gave it to the pair of them. Battler had seen one of those before. It was a magic fragment like the one Erika had used before disappearing, which would allow one to cross the sea of fragments.
それがあれば、二人とも黄金鏡に帰れるわ。それに、これが一番の人選なのよ。
It is. It's used in so many situations and so many anime references. I don't know. Maybe it's a skewed perception of mine, but I have the feeling it's much more popular in Japan than it is in the West. They use it a lot.
あんたたちじゃベルン相手に数秒と持たないだろうし、私なら1時間どころかひょっとしたら勝っちゃうかもね。あの子には借りがあるし、今度は私の勝ちってことにしてイーブンにしないと。アウェイは辛いわね。
Lambda Delta pretended to complain as she stood up straight.
じゃあ行ってくるわ。私目立ちたがり屋だから、やっぱ感激者は無理だったわ。ごめんね、出番を奪っちゃって。あんたたちのゲーム最後まで感激できないのは残念だけど、もう筋書きは教えてもらえたから見る必要もないわ。
ラムダ。
Then, with her broadest smile and a wink,
あんたたちのハッピーエンド。もう先が読めちゃったから見なくても分かっちゃうわ。じゃあね、また会いましょうね。あんたたちのハッピーエンドのクレジットロールでね。待って。
Lambda Delta snapped her fingers, and the two of them turned into Competo candies. She picked them up, took aim at the glint of the golden key, and flicked them away. That way they should be able to reach the key without Burncastle noticing. Dang, what terrible luck. What were the odds of them both playing a rock against my scissors? Yeah, I know. It wasn't nice of me to test you like that. Sorry, you two. And then, Lambda Delta's body was lit up by an emerald green light. When she turned around, the cat's eyes and Lambda Delta's met. Lambda Delta grinned and waved. There was a thunderous boom and several bright flashes. Candy, what? Oh my god! A chain of explosions flashed by one after another, enveloping Burncastle and her pack of familiars in an instant. They were multicolored fireworks, or rather multicolored candy that burst with a flash and scattered everywhere. Countless stick candies, sugar sculptures, cookies, and tarts flew in every direction, and each one of those split and exploded into hundreds of candies, each of which exploded again into a cloud of Competo. However, these sweets weren't sweet. The Competo was heavier than lead, harder than steel, and sharper than any blade. As the colorful cloud exploded outward, it blasted the entire pack of cats into little bits. The emerald green glints that were scattered everywhere sparkled like the night sky, and among them danced the cloud of pretty candies that looked like they'd go well on a Christmas tree. It was flashy and beautiful and cute and perfectly fitting for the grand entrance of the Great Witch, Lady Lambda Delta.
あら、ラムダじゃない。あなたとはパーティー会場で会いたかったわ。
愛してるわ、ベル。愛をささやくなら二人きりの方が素敵でしょ。
それはあんたの両手両足をもいだ後にゆっくりと聞かせてちょうだい。
With a jerk of her chin, Bern ordered her familiars to attack.
私の愛しい愛しいたった一人の友人よ。両腕の肘から先、両足の膝より先、自由に食いちぎって構わないわ。それ以外に傷一つ許さないわよ。
Okay. Always a treat indeed. The crowd of cats undulated again, reformed into a single mass, and became the emerald green leviathan that would swallow up any poor victims who snuck into the city of books. It was shaped like an impossibly vast whale. However, would it look like a whale from Lambda's perspective? She probably couldn't see anything except an immense mouth about to swallow up everything.
素敵。私をベルンの愛で飲み込んでくれるのね。
愛してるわ、ラム。
I feel like I'm intruding on their privacy by reading this in a way. Am I really meant to be here and witness this?
あんたの手足をもいだら、お尻から鉄串で貫いて、私のベッドに飾ってあげる。
Okay.
そして毎朝目覚めのキスを、そして毎夜お休みのキスをしてあげるわ。
本当に素敵。じゃあ私もあ
Not
な
in
た
a
を愛で
book.
包んであげる。
However, Lambda Delta's war cry was swallowed up by the glowing, writhing Leviathan in a single bite.
ああ、素敵よ、ラムダ。あんたのその向こう水で命知らずでほんのりパーなところが大好きだわ。風。
The same instant that Lambda Delta was swallowed and Broncastle was sure of her victory, the latter felt a slight breeze playing with her hair. The countless sweets that Lambda Delta had sent flying like fireworks and which drifted about like the decorations at a Christmas party were flowing. No, they were converging on a single point, sorry. It was like watching a firework run backwards. Countless sweets rapidly contracting to somewhere within the vast, closed mouth of the Leviathan. A gigantic reversed explosion gathering at a single inner point. Or perhaps it was more like countless candies showering the Leviathan from all directions like bullets. Inside that massive green was a black swirl. That swirl was on a palm. On the palm of Lambda Delta, who wore a defiant smile. It was a mass of super concentrated gravity. All of the sweets, the cats, the whale, and everything else was being sucked into that one point and crunched. All of the candies Lambda Delta had scattered were getting sucked back into the black hole on her palm at unbelievable speeds. The pressure of the reverse candy explosion whittled away at the Leviathan, crushing it inwards. With all her strength, Broncastle held her ground in mid-air, trying to resist this supergravity. For the first time, all trace of condescension had left her face. Even Lambda Delta's cocky expression was marred by the sweet trailing from her forehead. Because their power was so overwhelming, any victory would have to be instantaneous. If either relaxed in the slightest, they would match each other's strength and get dragged into another dizzyingly long fight that could last for centuries. Neither of them had any desire to go through that again, so neither of them showed the slightest mercy for their most beloved friend. By now, the Leviathan had been completely crushed and compressed inside the black hole. Broncastle was the only one still holding her ground. However, a windstorm of candy asteroids, like an asteroid belt, repeatedly slammed into Broncastle, wearing away her girl form bit by bit. The next thing to fly into Broncastle's range of vision was a comet hurtling straight for her, with a massive present box at its core and a cloud of candy surrounding it. Oh my god, the visuals. Okay. The candy comet wiped out Broncastle along with her scream. It burst into little bits, then within a blink of an eye, it was sucked back into a hole of supergravity. Once it was all gathered into one place like a gem, it began to spin rapidly. It was flattened by the centrifugal force, turning into something whose shape resembled a galaxy. After swallowing all of the cats and their master, it now looked like a winding, flickering, emerald-green galaxy that floated just above Lambda Delta's palm. The pocket of supergravity kept compressing it further and further, until at the end it had become a single green, shining confetti. Then it fell, down onto her outstretched palm.
ごめんね、ベル。あなたといつまでも遊んでいたいから、いつもは必死のふりしてほどほどで遊んでるけど。
Lambda Delta held the competto above her head and peered at it.
私、本当はどうしようもなく強いのよ。ごめんね。
Then she pressed the competto to her pink lips, gave it a light kiss, and bit down.
ベルの味がしない。
Lambda Delta licked her fingertips, then turned to face the empty air behind her.
知ってたわ、愛しいラムダ。愛してるわ、ベル。
Not her taste. I don't know what that means. I'm not gonna question it.
嘘よ。あんたがいつだって私に本気じゃないって知ってたわ。
じゃあ本当に愛し合いましょうよ。お互い本気で。ああ、愛してるわ、ラムダデルタ。嬉しいわ、本当に嬉しいわ。愛してるわ、ベルンカステル。あなたを飴玉に変えて永遠に私の舌の上で可愛がってあげる。
What am I reading?
私たちは愛し合えるのね。それって本当に素敵だわ。
I guess so, Devastators.
さあ、愛し合いましょうよ。
With a crash, crack lines appeared across the sky of the Golden Land. Then finally the barrier of the Golden Land was breached by the fleet's assault. It was a bizarre scene, more ridiculous than anything anyone had imagined. The sky of the Golden Land shattered like glass, and a fleet of sailboats flew in one after another. They were crowded with goats pushing each other and spilling off the sides. Oh my god, what are you saying? Banquet. That wasn't some fancy metaphor, but a simple statement of fact. The overwhelming surge of goat troops came in like a tsunami. Burn to Lambda, Norm. I see. The residents of the Golden Land who stood defiantly were like a forgotten sandcastle on a beach. A fight between a wave and a sandcastle is not a fight. For the voracious, merciless goats now storming the food at the standing buffet, this was a feast.
是非もなしぶち殺せグッドさあヤギたち形あるものに破壊を動くものに静寂を生けるものに絶望を
Okay. All those who could use magic fired it off at once. With a shout like a thunderclap, the goat tsunami rushed forward. Everything collided at once, and there was a brilliant and terrible explosion. Sparks and smoke, flying splinters and screams. For just an instant, the fierce magical cannonballs fired by Beato, Virgilia, and the Chisto sisters seemed to halt the goat tsunami in its tracks. Just seemed. However, their numbers were so great that they didn't even flinch. The goat wave pressed forward, over the corpses of those who had been blasted away or fallen to their knees in weariness. The mound of corpses piled up, and still more goats were shot down as they tried to cross it, so that before long it really was tall enough to be a tsunami.
あなたが築き上げてきた黄金鏡など浜辺に子供が残した砂の城に過ぎない。飲み込まれて消えてしま
えならばそなたは 岸壁に打ち寄せる無力なさざ波を思うがいい。波に飲まれる砂の城、飲んでみろよ、わらわの城よ。
Beto lifted her hands, telling the pair of battle towers that had been hidden deep in the ground that the day of glory had come again. The goat tsunami looked up at it in shock. After all, this time the tsunami that towered over everything wasn't them. A thunderstorm of rapid-fire ballista rounds rained down from the battle tower gun ports. The goats let out a confused scream at the furious tempest that was bearing down on them. However, they saw something else too. In the sky high above the tower was a reaper astride a divine horse and backdropped by the moon, with a massive spear the size of a tower in his hand. The next words came not from the reaper but from the great witch seated behind it.
お帰りなさい。ここはあなたたちの世界ではありません。行っちまえ、お師匠様
Yeah, we are, Viberum. The heavenly spear pierced the ground. For an instant it looked like some divine tower was sticking out of the ground. However, that was the very last thing those eyes ever saw. The sacred spear was the embodiment of heaven's wrath, and the strength to bury an unhallowed city in a single stroke was unleashed upon the pack of goats. With a massive explosion that resembled a volcanic eruption, goats were sent flying all over the place.
やるわね。さすが魔女だわ。
でもどうかな。
敵はまだまだ来るわ。やっぱり飲み込まれるのは私たちなのよ。
にしちゃん、あんたたちは楽しそうだわ。
うわははははは。祭りは楽しまねば損ということだ。どうやら我らの出番がなくなるということはなさそうだぞ。
みてえだな。燃えてきたぜ。
Yes, the crowd of goats truly was like a wave pressing in from the sea. You might be able to split a ripple on the beach with your feet, but you cannot split the sea. However, witches are those who do so nonetheless. Of course, that meant the other side also had one who could split apart the sea. Suddenly, smoke poured from one of the two battle towers, and it began to crumble, shaking the ground as it collapsed. Ay ay ay.
Itai! あそこよ、もう一方の塔の上。エリカ、そうだよな。今度はそなたの番であるよね。
On top of the other battle tower, Erika stood gracefully wielding her scythe.
これで黄金鏡の魔女たちへの敬意には十分でしょう。魔法などすべてまやかし、ミステリーに飲み込まれて必ず消えるファンタジーの砂の城。楽しかったですよ、魔法ごっこ。なんだか幼かった頃、近所のお姉ちゃんたちとこんな遊びをした気がします。だからもうこれでおしまいにしましょう。ここからはあんたたちが絶叫を聞かせてくれる番です。
Erika threw that pretentious pirate hat she had been wearing this whole time into the sky. With the moon behind it, Erika's form, her afterimage, vanished from the tower's peak.
どこに？
レーダー捕捉してます。戦闘壁面。
Shaking with a wild, joyous laughter, Erika dashed straight down the side of the tower. I mean, this looks pretty badass. I wish I could see her eyes a bit better. I can't really tell what her expression is from here, but okay. She twirled her scythe like a gymnast's baton, dicing up the wall, gun ports, pillars, and everything else as she ran, leaving a trail of smoke behind her. Also terrifying. Yeah, I guess so. So from the sidelines, it looked as though a line of smoke had suddenly split the tower from top to bottom. The golden arrows of the Chester sisters chased after Erika like golden threads in a sewing machine. Ah, sewing machine. Something I understand. Sewed and embroidered. Okay. Even the golden arrows couldn't catch up with Erika. Finally, Erika reached the bottom of the battle tower and the golden bows ejected empty cartridges. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Erika, who had now landed on the ground, slowly stood up and tapped the tower behind her with the handle of the scythe. That tiny tap cut the final string that held the towers together, and the whole thing fell in on itself with an earth-shattering crash. Once again, the dark tsunami rumbled forward through the rubble and smoke. The most thrilling fighting PowerPoint presentation. That's a very apt description. You're absolutely right. It has a few animations here and there, you know, just to kind of like break out of the stillness of the slideshow. Yeah. The goat tsunami swallowed everything up. When she saw them sink under the black sea of goats, Erika guffawed from atop the debris of the tower. Yes, that's true, they can.
怒号と真実の渦に飲み込まれて消え去ってください。1986年の亡霊たち、さようなら。
Eva had indeed broken the magic circle around the key beforehand. By the time Battler and Ninja reached it, it was crumbling like the sand in an hourglass. They tried punching and kicking it to make it break faster, but nothing they did hastened the process. Hey Patch! Oh, that's such a cute emote.
だいぶ前に壊してくれたみたいだけど、それでもまだ時間をかけそうだわ。
多分あと少しなんだ、おそらく。あと5分も稼げれば。
Judging by the speed the magic circles were crumbling, and the general appearance of the whole scene, it looked like it would be over soon. However, as things stood, even if it was just 5 more minutes, would that be soon enough? They turned around. Beyond the bookshelf ravine was a universe. Even for Battler, who had seen Battle's fights many times over, the battle between Lambda Delta and Burncastle was so mind-defying that he couldn't think of a single word to describe it. When he finally managed to find a word, it was a universe. With each development in the battle between Lambda Delta and Burn Castle, a universe was created between the pair of them. A big bang took place, a universe was created, galaxies beyond number were born and erased, born and erased. Then, just when it seemed that a big crunch had occurred and the universe had met its demise, there was another big bang and another universe was created. It was like watching gods playing. The two witches created and destroyed worlds over and over again, almost as though two creators were fighting to prove that their universe was the right one. If you let your guard down in the slightest, then just watching this would steal your soul. That's how it felt. There. Yeah, you're right. Burn and Lambda together as, you know, as an interaction are in a league of their own and nothing gets anywhere near that, and I think that's a good thing. It's better to not have more of that.
そしたらラムダデルタのくれたかけらで黄金鏡へ帰れるのよね。
賢者は鍵を取ったらすぐ帰れ。俺はラムダデルタを放っておけない。
あの戦いの中に飛び込むっての？
だが放っておけねえだろ。
That's very chivalrous and honorable, but what the heck are you gonna do? You have no powers.
二人の戦いは確かに上級にしてる。だが完全に拮抗してて互角なんだ。ってことはだ、俺みたいな人間風情一人の火星でも
I see.
何かを崩せるかもしれない。
A perfect balance maintained by two great powers can easily break by adding even a little strength to one side. However, actually rushing in there to add that little bit of strength would be literally suicidal. Like a moth flying into a furnace. It might burn up before it even reaches it.
鍵を手に入れたらエンジェはすぐに黄金鏡へ飛んで帰れ。向こうもいつまで持ちこたえられるかわからない。
みんな戦ってるのに私一人だけ帰れない。
そうだな。これはお前の戦いなんだ。だからお前は戦え。みんなと一緒に死ねなかったことを悔やみながらその気持ちに打ち勝って、それをお前は決意したはずだ。
Sorry, I cut him off. He took a long break there. Enja had no words to respond with. Her brother and everyone else would probably die. So she wanted to die in the same place and at the same time as everyone else. However, that would not be permitted, and she knew she mustn't wish for it. She had already made up her mind. She had sworn to live in the future without turning back to look at everyone's deaths.
黄金鏡に帰ったらベアトに鍵を見せろ。するとベアトはお前の前に2つの扉を示す。そしてお前に簡単な謎かけをし、そのどちらかを開くように言う。それが俺のゲーム版の最後のゲームだ。
2つの扉。
2つのうち片方はお前を未来へ導く。大丈夫。今のお前なら絶対に間違えない。そしてそれをくぐったら扉が閉まるまで後ろを振り返るな。
どうして振り返っちゃいけないの？
扉が閉まれば俺たちの運命はもうお前には分からない。つまり俺たちは猫箱の中に閉ざされる。
猫箱に閉ざされた運命は無限の真実を持つ。
そういうことだ。俺たちはボロクソに負けたかもしれねえし、奇跡の大逆転で生き残るかもしれねえ。つまりお前という未来の魔女に俺たちの決着を観測させずに未来に送り出せれば俺たちには勝機があるってことだ。だがお前がいつまでも俺たちを見ていたら お前は俺たちが全滅するところを見ちまう。そうなりゃ、100% の敗北が確定だ。だからお前は俺たちに勝利の奇跡を与えるためにも、扉をくぐったら決して振り返っちゃいけない。いいな。だから俺はラムダデルタを助けに行くのさ。その俺の勇姿を見送って黄金鏡に帰れば、それがお前の中での俺の最後の姿になる。
お兄ちゃんたちの勝敗は猫箱に閉ざされる。だから絶対に負けない。
そういうことだ。だから振り返るな。もうじき鍵が手に入る。一目散で黄金鏡に帰るんだ。だから今のうちに手短に未来のお前に俺からメッセージを送れ。いいか、忘れるなよ。いついかなる時もな、生きる希望を捨てるんじゃねえぜ。俺たちはいつだってみんなお前の後ろにいるんだ。お前が信じてさえくれりゃ声だってかけられるんだ。いいな、信じろ。奇跡はな、信じれば絶対に叶うから。
Oh boy. At that moment, a massive explosion engulfed Lambda Delta and Burn Castle. Surely one of them had landed a powerful blow. There were no further explosions, so surely that strike had decided the match. When the smoke cleared, who would be left standing? The magic circle sealing the key still needed several minutes to dissolve.
Mada, いる? 私の愛しいラムダデルタ。
All that came into sight was Burn Castle. There was no answering voice from Lambda Delta. If this was a sign of Burn Castle's victory, it didn't cause her expression to grow any brighter.
残念よ、ラムダ。あなたとなら二人で宇宙が築けると思ってたのに、残念よ。本当に残念。
Burn Castle was still focusing all her nerves on the battle, so she took no notice of Battler and Ninja by the key. However, she would probably notice soon, and then there would be nowhere to run. The last circle of the magic circle was starting to fade away. However, almost cruelly, the final circle went slower than the rest. Seeing that, any hopes that it would dissolve in a minute or maybe a few dozen seconds were crushed absolutely. Battler readied himself.
俺じゃああはいかねえだろうがな。今度は俺の出番のようだぜ。
お兄ちゃん。
偉いぞ、エンジェ。よく止めなかった。
With tears still pouring down her face, Angel lovingly rubbed her cheek against the hand that had been patting her head.
また子猫たちを集めなきゃ。
Pet pets, yes.
バトラも一緒にいると思ってたのに、その姿がないのはおかしいわ。あんなやつ一人でも残しておけば、靴に入り込んだ小石程度には厄介だものね。
The smoke cleared completely and they saw a huge cloud of candy bits floating around, like it was Lambda Delta's corpse. A star-shaped cookie bounced off of Burn Castle's head. It was missing one of its points, giving it a lonely feeling.
ラムダデルタ、私と共に生きなさい。私の中で、あなたは私と一つの宇宙になるの。
Burn Castle chewed the cookie and swallowed it.
これで、私たちは永遠に一緒よ。愛してるわ、ラムダ。
私もよ、ベルン。
Burn Castle's stomach suddenly swelled like a balloon. The bulge rose from her stomach to her throat and exploded like a firework from her mouth. Burn Castle coughed up fireworks, sparks, and fragments of candy.
直せないの？ 猫の頃の習性は怪しいお菓子を拾い食いしちゃダメでしょ。
Bunkcastle kept coughing and spitting up exploding fireworks. The birth of a small universe from that sweet had hit her directly from the inside of her stomach. Even Bunkcastle couldn't withstand that. As she repeatedly vomited fireworks so violently that it seemed her guts would spill out of... okay, that's a wonderful image. Her body flickered in and out of existence, and she glared at Lambda Delta with a terrifying expression. Yeah, numb. Her body was flickering because she had taken so much damage that even maintaining her form was now difficult.
はしたないわベル。お姿が乱れていてよ。ラムちょっぴり負けてあげちゃおっかなって気分になってたの。でもやめたわ。あんたと一つの宇宙になっちゃったらベルンは二度と私に愛をささやいてくれない。
そうね、私釣った魚に餌はあげないたちだもの。
知ってるわ。だからベルンは美しく輝くのよ。思わせぶりな仕草を見せるのに決して誰にもこびることはない気高い猫の女王のように。
あんたを段ボールに変えて側面揃えて私の爪研ぎにしてあげるわ。
あんたこそ三味線にして一回弾いたら飽きて押し入れに入れて埃を積もらせてあげるわよ。
Okay. Interesting threats. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. The goat tsunami had swallowed up everything, but sea spray was still flying about. The reefs resisted the ocean trying to cover them, smashing waves left and right. The Seven Sisters of Purgatory and the Inquisitors specialized at close-range combat. They specialized at close-range combat and were rapidly building a mountain of corpses. There we go. The witches fought hard too, but they would have preferred to fight at a distance if they could. Just relying on fantasy creatures wouldn't be enough. In these battle conditions, all of the humans were thrust right into the center of the battle. Everyone in the Ushiromiya family displayed a fighting spirit equal to the witches and guarded their backs. Even humans are not powerless. They have guns. If the goats supported fantasy, they could use these as the ultimate anti-magic weapons. If the goats supported mystery, they could use these in a much more obvious way. Those, what are those? 45 millimeters? 45... How do you read that? I don't know guns. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so those bullets delivered fatal wounds to each and every goat they struck.
死に損ないどもがいつまで抵抗しやがるんですか。いい加減その辺で沈みやがれです。後ろ宮
沈めと言われればあがきたくなるのが後ろ宮よ。小娘、お前に語れるほど後ろ宮甘くはないわ。
あんたなんざ1986年以前に死んでるでしょうがはしゃぎすぎなんですよこのクソじじい。
Erika's razor-sharp scythe buried itself in Kinzo's chest. It dug straight into his heart, but the daring smile on Kinzo's face didn't even falter.
我が死を猫箱の外の誰が観測したというのかな。
Yeah, they are badasses.
あれは不滅なり。
Indestructible Kinzo. Okay, let's go. A punch containing all of Kinzo's last spark of life sent Erika flying. Ooh. Oh wow, that's... Oh, this is very cool. Aww. Aww. Koro is also a badass. They all are. As Erika tried to deliver the finishing blow, Kraus stepped in between them, blocking the way.
おや、無能投資家の大先生ではございませんか。よくもまあ、儲からない話ばかりを見つけて散財なさるものです。
失礼。靴紐が溶けてはいないか。
Look at Natsuki finally having something good in her life besides Kraus and Jessica. Yeah, that was a pretty nice one.
Huh?
Nice. Erika tried to look down at her own feet, but what she saw was Kraus's left first. Kraus's left uppercut made Erika float in the air. Not by magic, but by the simple laws of physics. For an instant, Erika saw the moon.
私は投資家としては無能だろう。
The moon.
だが、ボクサーとしての才能は大学時代の友人たちが証明するだろう。お前ごとき小娘に我が後ろ宮の全てを否定することなど、この後ろ宮クラウスが許さん。
学園祭で私はカノン君をみんなに紹介したぜ。サクに、ヒナに、他にもみんなに、友達みんなが証明する。お前らの勝手な想像で私たちの仲を勝手に決めつけるんじゃねえぜ。
Her eyes, oh my god. Jessica's body blow made the goat's massive body cave
お
in.
見事ですお嬢様。このような窮地でよくそれだけの力を。そりゃそうだぜ。だって私今死んでもいいかなって思っちゃってる。カノン君に背中を預けて初めての共同作業だもんな。それがケーキカットじゃないのが残念だけどさ。
Jessica gave an embarrassed grin. She looked even more relaxed than she had on stage. On the stage at the school festival.
なら僕たちはケーキ以外のものを切断しましょう。いちいちカノン君が言うことはカッコつけすぎなんだよ。だがそれがいい。
Oh, sorry. The massive bodies that rushed at them, trying to deny their relationship and their very existence, had two choices. Oh god. I'm choking in my own. Okay, some water is in order. They had two choices, to be sliced or struck. Each time one of those bodies hit the ground, it became proof that the two of them existed. Interesting. Poor George.
ジョージ様、危ない。
Oh, what is this? The goat's long-sized fist buried itself in George's face. They were in the middle of a tightly packed melee. There was no way to dodge an unexpected attack like that.
ネクラな引きこもり。いいとも。僕への評価はどのようなものでも。あ。
George had indeed been hit with the fist right to the center of his face. However, he didn't bend over backwards, not even an inch. The goat started to worry. What exactly had he hit? Hadn't he punched a human made of flesh? It was as though he had slammed his fist into a steel wall, and it was his fist that was hurting. However, the goat was too scared to move his fist from George's face. After all, if he did, the expression on that face would probably be terrifying. George's hand knocked that fist away.
僕の学生時代の同期たちが証言するだろう。確かに僕はネクラで社交的な人間じゃなかった。でも、もう一つ、とても重要なことを証言するだろう。
George was only grabbing the goat's massive fist in his tiny hand. However, that fist was being crushed, as though it had a vise around it. Even though the other hand was so tiny, the goat couldn't even move its fist.
後宮ジョージは自分に対する一切のことで喧嘩をした試しはない。どのような挑発にも逃げ回る臆病な少年だった。誰もがそう証言するだろう。でも喧嘩を一度もしたことがないとは誰も証言しないだろう。
I accepted the fact that someone as pathetic as me would be bullied. Oof. Ooh, I like that look. Oh, that's so cool. Oh god, okay.
そんな僕に味方してくれる人へのあらゆる挑発と挑戦を断じて一度たりとも僕は許したことはない。
Nice. Very cool. Indeed, very cool. The goat's broken teeth flew through the air. George's legs split the heavens. Oh wow. What a sentence. What a sentence. A goat's filthy finger touched Shannon's back. That finger exploded and boiled away.
私のジョージさんへの愛は純粋で高潔です。ジョージさんは私が記した手紙のすべてを保管なさっているでしょう。それらをご覧いただければ証明できるでしょう。手紙などいくらでも書きはけ手紙の内容で純粋な恋愛だったかどうか少々は。
A blazing red light charred the goat's entire body. Shannon slowly turned around, her face full of rage and contempt.
愛を知らぬ哀れな観測者よ。お前にはミステリーは愚か。人の心を読む資格さえもありません。起きえなさい。
An absolute barrier rose up around Shannon, incinerating the goats around her with its intense heat.
そうだね。確かにマリアたちは死んでいるかもしれない。でもね、だからって誰にもマリアたちのことを批判することはできない。マリアとママの愛は誰にも否定できないんだもの。
Maria grinned, showing her teeth, and performed her job without even looking at her hands. Then she gave the fully loaded rifle a rough toss-up into the air.
来なさいよ。
This is so cool. It's making me feel so many things. Maria is so cute too. Rosa, who stood back to back with Maria, caught it without turning around. No, that wasn't quite it. Maria's throw had landed the gun directly into Rosa's already outstretched hand in a precise blind exchange. Rosa's head was pointed at the ground as she stroked the frigid trigger with her index finger. Yeah, she does. She does. My heart.
私とマリアの愛を疑うやつは前へ出なさいよ。
The crowd of goats covered by Rosa's ferocity dared not approach.
じゃあ私が否定してあげます。浮気性のあんたはいつだって男のところを遊び歩いてマリアを一人ぼっちにしてました。
マリアの日記にはそんなこと一言も書いてないもん。
あんたが一番知っているでしょうが。ローザはあんたを愛してなんかいない。産んだことさえ後悔してるクソったれな母親じゃないですか。
Okay. Erika peered at the unfeeling moon, the taste of metal in her mouth. For a moment, she couldn't make sense of her new situation. Was that cold feeling on her back the ground? Huh? Why am I lying down? And wasn't the moon full? Why isn't it now? Come to think of it, my teeth hurt. Oh my god! There's something cold and hard. Then she figured it out. She was lying sprawled on the ground with the gun barrel shoved into her mouth. And the thing splitting the full moon was the angry king of wolves protecting its child. The gun barrel exploded inside her mouth, shattering her medulla oblongata. Oh wow, but it was only her after image.
恐ろしい女です。こいつ本当に人間。
She's the Black Witch, didn't you know? Having escaped death at the last moment by leaving an after image, Erika was confronted at her new location by the glint of metal, which had been there even before she reappeared. The fountain pen went right through Erika's eye, crushing it. Of course, there was another after image. However, when Erika escaped and reappeared somewhere else, a heel was already there waiting for her. From the ghost's perspective, several after images of Erika seemed to have appeared at once, and all been taken out simultaneously by Rosa.
Mama は強いんだよ。
And so, Erika couldn't reappear anymore. At the very least, not within Rosa's range of attack. Erika put a lot of distance between her and Rosa, reappearing in midair.
こいつら、何なんですか？わけがわからない。
Erika's animal instincts made her turn her head slightly to the side just in time. Where her head used to be, there was an odd shower of sparks. It wasn't magic. It was a real physical phenomenon caused by lead smashing against lead. To think that two bullets shot from different angles could have flown with impossible precision at where her head once was, so that both of them hit and bounced off each other like like billiard balls. Sorry.
あら、惜しい。
悪いな。俺たちの趣味は親玉狙いな。
Of course you are.
私たちクレイは得意よ。あまりのんびりお空を飛ばない方がいいんじゃないかしら。
The two of them spun their rifles in exactly the same way at exactly the same time, reloading them in a way that put old westerns to shame. Then pointed them back up at where Erika was in the sky. Don't we get the cool CG of them too? Please?
この化け物どもが！
Once again, their accurate shots plunged through the forehead of Erika's afterimage, bouncing off each other like billiard balls with a shower of sparks. This time, Erika appeared far behind them. She had to admit it. She had been forced to escape to a place outside the range of those guns fired by humans. Then the light from the moon was blocked. The place that she had fled to so rapidly exploded, sending chunks of rubble flying. A massive longsword had been plunged into the ground. It was Delanor's sword.
おや、私のお友達じゃありませんか。
Erika had dodged it by a hair, but this bulky, brutal longsword was more of a cannonball shaped like a sword than something for cutting with. Yeah, Delanor's love. Despite this successful dodge, the blast of air pressure made her eardrums throb. Delanor was serious. She had seriously intended to smash Erika to bits.
どうしたんです？怖い顔しちゃって。もう少し可愛い顔ができればいいのに。
Not when she's in death mode.
楽しいですか。人の夢や幻想を打ち壊すのは。
楽しいに決まってるじゃないですか。それこそが知的蹂躙の醍醐味でしょうが。
あなたは邪悪な人です。しかしそれでも同情できる邪悪だと信じていました。
あんたに同情を頼んだ覚えはありませんが。
あなたを直ちに切り伏せなかったこと、それが今日を招いた私の罪です。
Delanor's hair bristled with rage. Seeing this expression on the one she had once called a friend, pinned Erika to the spot.
我が友よ、痛みさえ分からぬうちに私があなたを解放しましょう。あなたがこれ以上の罪を背負わぬようにです。
The force of anger that welled from Delanor's whole body struck Erika. Or rather, the swirl of blasting wind from Delanor's massive longsword sent her flying. As Erika took leap after leap backwards to escape the bladed cannonball, it smashed apart the ground in the spots where she had just been. So it almost looked as though Erika herself was smashing the earth beneath her with each backwards jump.
我が友よ、眠れ。
Once more, the great longsword split the air and pulverized the ground. However, this time Erika was nowhere to be seen. Where had she escaped to? This time Erika had broken the barrier of the Golden Land and landed on a ship whose bow was barely in sight. Okay. Practically speaking, she had run away. Fully aware of this, Erika howled, her face contorted with humiliation. Yeah, she is a sweetheart. Her shoulders heaved with her breathing, and she had even forgotten to fix her hair. The scythe fell from her hand and landed with a clank to the floor. That sound brought her back to her senses.
断種概念否定炸裂弾無標準無感染射撃ぶちかませ
Okay. The warships that had flown into the Golden Land opened their gun ports one after another. Then they all fired at once in a scattered mess of cannonballs. The hundreds of explosive rounds they fired would negate the concept of anything or person they touched, smash them into little bits, and set them ablaze with flames. The battlefield full of writhing goats became a fiery hell. Oh my god. A cannonball smashed the arbor. The once beautiful garden maze was burned down piece by piece, and the fleeing gold butterflies were drowned in flames, burning into nothingness like little scraps of paper. This was no longer a battlefield where two sides fought for victory. It was just a confused, hellish pot. The Golden Land was being torn apart. The once beautiful rose garden was filled with explosion craters, and its rose petals were scattered about without pity. Flying bits of flesh, blood, fangs, jaws, shrieks, and half-crazed screams. And even amidst this hellish swirl, the goats and the dead continued to fight. Imagine explaining the scene to people reading episode 1. I mean, it is quite high up there, but like, there's so many more similar moments along the way. As seen from atop the boats, this was without a doubt hell. When Erika yelled, the goats on the boats ran around frantically, and one by one massive anchors hanging by chains were thrown from the ship's bows down into the earth below. Imagine telling an episode 5 reader that they would see Erika with a pirate hat. Pirate hat, wedding dress, you know, stuff like that. Those anchors smashed through not only the ground, but the bottom of the Golden Land itself, digging in with their wedge-shaped tips.
Erika!
Oh yeah, Beatrice-san! 何しろこの大混戦。あなたを見つけられず途方に暮れておりました。
Beatrice landed on the front tip of the warship, facing off against Erika, who stood on the bow.
貴様は許さぬ。この場でわらわが討ち取ってくれるわ。
I'm not good at ship terms. Okay, ignore my mispronunciations. You get the point. Beato jabbed with her pipe. It transformed into a beautifully intricate, long and golden sword. Squid! Hi! So nice to see you. Good morning, I guess. Or good almost lunchtime. Something along those lines. Erika threw her sight up into the air. When it returned to her hand, it had become a sword similar to Bato's. The nearby goats crowded around Erika, trying to support her. 1 p.m. Alright, okay. Hope you had or are going to have something very delicious for lunch. Aw, it's okay. I always appreciate you dropping by, Squid. No worries. You're always welcome. I hope whatever you have to do for work works out today. And if not, tomorrow is another day. You know? There's only a certain amount of hours of work in a day. Yeah? So don't overexert yourself.
手出し無用です。それよりお前たちは怒りの巻き上げを黄金鏡を根元から引き裂いて粉々にしてしまいなさい。
Aye, aye, sir. The goats saluted and rushed to their posts. Near 300 hours. I haven't counted, to be honest. It's not really that much into the that much closer to the 300s, but yeah. Yeah, we're getting there. Actually, tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of when we started this, I think. So yeah, a year. Yikes. Tomorrow or the day after tomorrow? Wait, I don't remember the date exactly, but yeah, something along those lines. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, indeed. Several dozen ships had lowered their anchors, digging into the base of the Golden Land. Soon they were going to pull them up and try to tear the Golden Land to pieces. Hope everyone is enjoying it. I gotta bounce once more, so take care. Aw, thank you so much for dropping by, Squid. You're always a positive light and a nice presence to have around. So thank you for checking in, and yeah, good luck with everything at work. We believe in you. You're gonna do the thing. Anniversary stream. Yeah, I guess so. Wait, let me just quickly check. It should have been a Tuesday in May, but after the 5th of May for sure. So let's see, May. Oh yeah, 9th. I think it was the 9th of May last year, so then it would make it Thursday, it would make it the anniversary stream. Okay, that works out. Yeah, because this was a leap year, right? So we have one extra day, so the date gets pushed 2 days further from Tuesday to Thursday. Okay, that works out. Right, okay. Anniversary stream on Thursday. Right. Alright, but until then, soon they were going to pull them up and try to tear the Golden Land to pieces. Ooh. Okay, she gets a cool one too. Very nice. That determined look, oh lord. Beto raised her sword, bowed in the ancient fashion, and waited for her dual opponent. Erika kicked off her shoes violently and slowly walked up to the tip of the boat barefoot. Then, in accordance with Beto's rules, she bowed back. A duel on the prow of a ship that pierced the sky. Below, the crowd of goats was being blasted away by the indiscriminate cannonballs, burned up and crushed in the panorama of this world's end. Even thinking about who among the Ushiromiya family was still alright was now ridiculous. Yes, it truly was the end of this world. The end of the Golden Land. Ground to dust, filled with flames. The Golden Rose Garden was burning spectacularly, the air filled with a shower of burning sparks and gold dust. The ground, the base of the Golden Land, creaked and fissures ran through it. All of the ships started pulling up their anchors at once. Crowds of strong goats used all of their monstrous strength to lift them. The anchors that dug into the Golden Land's base spread cracks throughout the entire Golden Land. Not just the ground, but the air itself was filled with cracks, and shards of gold fell down everywhere. The Golden Land's end was adorned with the flames of hell and streaking gold fragments with fiery red and ephemeral gold. Atop the boat's prow, Beto and Erika looked down on this, their swords crossed and sparks flying between them.
すごい光景じゃないですか。ふさわしいと思いませんか。あんたの物語の終章に。
黄金鏡は終わるだろう。わらはもう果てるだろう。だが我らが確かにここにあった事実を誰にも消せぬ。レンジェは至った。未来の魔女は使命と希望を持ち、もうじき旅立つだろう。すでに我らは成し遂げている。あいにくだな、フルドエリカ。この戦、すでにわらわたちが勝利しているわ。
A duel between the master of the illusion called the Golden Land and the witch who controlled truth. The earth split behind them. The Golden Land was torn up. The catbox known as the Golden Land was ripped apart, and the nothingness below peeked out through the cracks. The scrambling crowd of goats fell through the gaps and were swallowed by the sea of nothingness. Beto's friends were also among them. They helped each other, stretched out hands to each other, intending to hold on to everyone to the very end. But that is such a fragile fantasy, and what a romantic optimism it is to embrace it at the end of the world. The ground shattered and sank. It fell apart into the ocean of nothingness. None could survive. None could be saved. This was destruction. As the friends fell into the sea of nothingness, they looked up one last time and prayed. They prayed that the master of the Golden Land would leave proof that the Golden Land had indeed existed. However, Beato didn't look down at them. They wouldn't have wanted her to.
こここそは我らが黄金鏡、無限と黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェ、ここにあり。我らは知れど、それは敗北にあらず。そなたが生き証人となれ。その胸にわらわの切っ先にて我らの証。
さようならベアトリーチェ。このクソったれな無限ゲームもこれでおしまいです。地獄へ落ちろこの幻が。
A moment to breathe. Oh my god. Lambda, Delta, and Broncastle's fight to the death had passed through its phase as a dynamic clash of fireworks and was now a clash that was quiet and motionless. Those two witches, who possessed power on an entirely different level, may have been truly equal in strength. The battle could only be resolved by mutual consent if one of them lost interest or found some reason for wanting to lose. Since both were putting their all into the fight without yielding a bit, they were absolutely and completely equal.
Lambda Delta, あんたが味方でよかったわ。
くそ、もう少しなんだ。早く砂になっちまえ。ふざけた魔法人め。
Battler got irritated and punched the magic circle, but there was nothing he could do except continue to watch over it. After all, the only way to dissolve it was by waiting. However, the pair of them still felt relief, if only a little. Lambda Delta really was strong. Even in a battle this spectacular, she fought on an even footing. Now, if you also took confidence into account, she seemed to have a slight advantage to Battler's eyes. She would probably manage to buy them enough time. Enja would take the key and be able to return to the Golden Land. They just had to endure a bit longer. However, they had no way of knowing what Lambda Delta's fate would be after this. She had disobeyed the Senate, the highest level witches in existence. A brutal fate probably awaited her. However, even knowing this, Enja had to step forward into the future without looking back. That was the single duty given to her, the witch of the future.
お兄ちゃん、あれは何？はるか向こうから何か近づいてくるわ。
まずいぞ。まさか敵の増援か。
Lambda Delta and Broncastle were glaring at each other, so they didn't notice. Heading towards them from the distance were several emerald green glints. That light showed that they were enemies.
でも、ほんの数匹だけだわ。あの程度なら、ラムダデルタの敵じゃない。
All of the cats so far seemed like fish in a school, giving the impression that they'd be terrifying as a group but not much of a problem by themselves. However, there was something different about the lights approaching them now. They were approaching in a beautiful ordered formation, like a constellation. Battler quickly realized that this was something formidable.
我が巫女よ、そろそろ鍵の準備が必要な時間ではなかったか？
Just by her tone, Battler was able to tell just how great a witch this was. The black cats that surrounded her in a graceful and systematic constellation were all wearing large capes with elegant designs. It looked as though great overlords from many worlds had been transformed into cats, leaving only their capes untouched. What Battler imagined was quite true. That was exactly what had happened. These were the overlords from many worlds that formed Featherine's personal guard. Their bodies took the form of cats merely as a sign of respect to their master, who took the form of a human. These were entirely different from the pack of wild cats that served Burncastle.
アウアウローラ。あら、もうそんな時間だったの。客を多少待たすのもまたパーティーのもてなし方の一つではある。私はあまり好まぬのだがな。
As she said this, her eyes flicked to Lambda Delta. The latter bowed hurriedly. Though Lambda Delta grinned, she was also sweating with a brow furrowed with attention.
久しぶりであるな、ラムダデルタ卿。
ご機嫌うるわしゅう、大アウローラ卿。
ここは今日をもてなすにふさわしい場所ではない。会場への道を間違えられたかならば私が自らパーティー会場にご案内しよう。
それは光栄ですわ、大アウローラ卿。
Featherine Augustus Aurora, the legendary Great Witch. It is said that she transgressed the limits of a witch, becoming a creator, and that upon reaching this forbidden plane, she was cursed with a deadly ailment. Boredom? However, in life, she once turned her pet cat into a witch. They say that this second witch wanders the sea of fragments endlessly, searching for any fragment capable of reviving her master from the pit of death called boredom, if even for a moment. And the cat did revive her master, revive the sacred witch who had reached heights none should reach. Just as witches look down from a higher world and sneer at humans, calling them pieces on a game board, so she looks down from a world higher still and sneers at the territories of witches, calling them pieces on a game board. Oh wow, interesting. If a witch's strength is measured by the height of the world they are capable of reaching, then she was like a witch come back from the realm of the gods, the one who had touched the highest forbidden heights and survived. Was there any chance of winning against her? No. Not only could Lambda Delta not choose to win, she couldn't choose to lose either.
我が巫女よ、友人と戯れるのは後にして、今は仕事をしてくれぬか。鍵の準備をせよ。わかったわ。途中でお使いを忘れてしまう天真爛漫さも猫の魅力である。そうは思わぬか、ラムダデルタ卿。
Lambda Delta didn't say anything, but hung her head low. From this position, it seemed that the key's seal would dissolve at any second. However, Burncastle would probably find Battler and Ninja before that. Once those two got their hands on the key, they could leave this place immediately. But that was only if Burncastle and Featherine didn't find them first. Burncastle couldn't be allowed to move from this spot.
ゲームセットね、ラムダ。私は大アウローラ卿の巫女よ。感激の魔女は朗読の巫女に保護を与えることを忘れてはいないわよね。
Still keeping her head lowered, Lambda Delta gave no answer. The Witch of Theater Going gave protection to her reader Mikos. If Lambda Delta attacked Burncastle, who was a Miko, then the Great Aurora, in accordance with her contract, would take that as an attack against herself and respond accordingly.
取引しましょう。
何をよ。
バトラはどこに隠れてるの？素直に白状したらすべて水に流してあげるわ。
奇
跡の魔女のあんたがバトラごとき小さな駒を恐れるの？
奇跡の魔女だからこそよ。あんな小石のようなやつでも起こす奇跡があることを私は侮らないの。
その小石が今じゃ奇跡の魔女に大出世したものね。
もう一度聞くわ。バトラはどこ？残念よ、ラムダ。それが返事のようね。
Percaso turned her back on Lambda Delta. Then she told her master that she was leaving to prepare the key. Then she started swimming towards the key room. If I let her go any further, she'll find Battler and Ninja. Battler readied himself. This time it was his turn to become a sacrifice. Even though he was nothing more than a single pebble, he could still put out an eye. A candy firework exploded right in front of Burn Castle.
ラムダ、あんたは本当にバカだわ。
ラムダデルタ。
やっちゃったわ。バトラー、エンジェ、あとは頑張りなさいよ。
The cat overlords changed their formation, becoming a ferocious constellation that surrounded Featherine. The stress. Then each drew the most terrifying of magic circles from their respective worlds and began to chant. Okay.
私は少し混乱している。我が巫女よ、そしてラムダデルタ卿よ。これはどういう余興なのか。ラムダは私が鍵を取りに行くのを邪魔し。ほう。それはどういう意味なのか。
その意味がわかんないなら、フェザリーヌ、あんたちょっと酔っ払ってるんじゃない？酔いざましが必要なんじゃないかしら。
Lambda Delta acted as tough as she could. Her fingertips were shaking slightly.
巫女への攻撃は主への攻撃とみなす。そなたも知らぬわけではあるまい。
知ってるわ。そのルールによると、私はあんたたちとやっぱり戦わなくちゃならないわけだわ。
ほう、私か。私の巫女がそなたの巫女に失礼をしたか。ならば詫びよう。しかし教えてはくれぬか。今はそなたは巫女を持たぬはず。そなたにはいつの間に巫女がいたというのか。
それがね、いっぱいいるのよ。30人か40人くらい、もっといるかしら。このラムダデルタ、相手が誰だろうと巫女に売られた喧嘩は全部買い取っちゃうんだからね。そいつらはみんな絶対のハッピーエンドを信じてる。この絶対の魔女がそんな絶対を信じて頑張ってる連中をね、見捨てられるわけがないでしょ。
そなたの物語も嫌いではない。我が感激に値する。しかし今の私は感激者でなく出演者である。我が巫女の親友であることを知るから一度だけ忠告する。この舞台を降りるがよい。我が観覧席にそなたのための特別な席を設けさせよう。
あんたの物語と私が感激してる物語のどちらが面白いか考えているわ。
答えを聞こうぞ。
バトラたちの物語の方が100倍面白いわ。悪いけど今年の助演女優賞は私がもらっとくわ。あんたたち、最後の人気投票は私に入れなさいよ。最低でもトップ5よ。いいわね。
どこ見て言ってんの？
As Lambda Delta pretended to joke around, she calmly glared at the one weak point. If she had a chance for a single attack, then a 1 in a billion shot at victory existed. That horseshoe-shaped memory device floating around Featherine's head. Without that, she couldn't preserve her own being. Destroying it would be impossible. But if Lambda Delta could just jar it a little, she might be able to make it bug out. She got that prize? Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. At least once in the past, Featherine's memory device had been damaged, and her personality and appearance had changed. Interesting. However, she was aware of that herself, and probably wouldn't let that happen again no matter what.
よかろう。 ラムダデルタ卿、そなたの脚本が準備できたならいつでも参られるがよい。
脚本なんて簡単よ。たった1行。
Oh.
華麗でキュートなラムダデルタ様が悪の黒幕アウアウローラを一撃でぶっ倒す。
Yeah, they do. They're doing stellar jobs.
愚かな
Absolutely stellar performances.
そこまであなたが愚かと思わなかったわ。猫たちは手出し無用。ラムダデルタ教より献上されるこの勇敢なる物語に対し、私自らが褒美を取らせよう。勇敢なるそなたにふさわしい物語と結末を褒美に取らせる。
フェザリーヌ・アウグストゥスアウアウローラー。
Lambda Delta summoned magical power from her whole body and raised it in the mass above her head.
すまぬわ。
Kane. And then the world's time stopped.
そなたの脚本は採用しない。なぜなら
Rather than time stopping, it was more like someone had stopped flipping the pages of a book. In this motionless world, closely packed letters
この
appeared.
先の脚本を記すのは私であるからだ。
They were the tale that had been written up to this very moment. Featherine Augustus, Aua Aurora. Lambda Delta summoned magical power from her whole body and raised it in the mass above her head. Oh my god, the font is different too, what the heck. That was where the paragraph ended. In this frozen world, Featherine sat with her arms crossed.
参ったものだ。戦いを書くのは久しぶりでな。唐突にこのような展開で筆を預けられても困るというもの。
When I get stuck writing, I try to write in reverse. In other words, instead of starting at the beginning, I start at the end and go backwards from there. This way it's easier to set up foreshadowing and I can write the story with my vision for the end in mind. The only downside is that it is surprisingly difficult to write a climax without having set up the story first.
とりあえず戦いの顛末から遡って書いていこう。ラムダデルタ卿、そなたは私に敗れ生き絶える。
As Featherine said this, words were added to the massive group of letters that filled the frozen world. However, she was starting from the end, so there was a large gap between the new words and the old
どんな
ones.
姿でそなたは敗れるのであろうな。そなたの勇敢さにふさわしい勇壮な最後が良いだろう。こうはどうかよくわからぬが、何かに吹き飛ばされて本棚に叩きつけられ、獅子がバラバラに砕け散り、息絶えて暗闇に墜落して消える。
Okay.
なかなか派手な最後であるな。よし、これでとりあえずそなたの最後は決まった。
The blanks were being filled up with the outline Featherine spoke of. At the same time, Lambda Delta's figure was wiped out. After crossing her arms and thinking again, Featherine pointed in a suitable direction. Spread-eagled against the bookshelf Featherine had pointed at, reappeared Lambda Delta, who had slammed into it after something or other blasted her there.
さて、ここからこのような最後に至るまでの激しい戦いを執筆せねばならぬのだが、今の私は今日も見抜く通り少々酔いが回っている。
Of course, okay.
その部分は今度改めて時間を設けてじっくりと執筆することにする。
Okay.
今はこれにて許せ。きっとそなたに気に入ってもらえる勇敢な戦いぶりを執筆することを約束しようぞ。
Featherine snapped her fingers. Hey. Lambda Delta had no idea what was going on. Before she could even blink, she was suddenly here, slammed against the bookshelf.
何これ。
She couldn't comprehend what it was that Featherine had killed her with. However, that was only natural. After all, even Featherine herself hadn't decided. However, Lambda Delta did understand one thing. She was already dead. Streams of blood dripped from the corners of her mouth. Then lines of blood appeared on her wrists and ankles, her elbows and knees. She looked like a marionette doll of herself.
私何に殺されたの。
まったくだ、ラムダデルタ卿。良いアイデアがあったら聞かせてほしいぞ。
この化け物。
Still pinned against the bookshelf, Lambda Delta let her head slump. Her wrists, ankles, legs, arms, and neck. Each of those broke off as separate parts, and the marionette's shape, like her, lost its strings, falling in pieces into the depths below. Nothing remained. It was all swallowed up by the darkness beneath them.
化け物とは私を称える褒め言葉の一つであるな。
ラムダデルタ。
エンジ見るな。お前は見るな。
Angel closed her eyes tight, shedding bitter tears. She must not look. The witch of the future must not accept Lambda Delta's defeat.
あいつはくたばってなんかいない。ただ勇敢だった。
分かってるわ。あのラムダデルタが負けるはずない。
Pop. At that moment there was a slight sound, and the golden key that hung in the air shook. I was about to ask, would it be okay? That's been quite a lot. We make a save here, yeah? Alright. At the key and hopeful music playing. Whatever this means. I guess we'll figure it out next time. Okay, good. Then it's perfect. It works out perfectly. We're right in time. And yeah, I can go chill because this has been a lot. And I have an early day tomorrow, so I want to get a good night's sleep. Yeah, thank you for being here with me as always. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for the good vibes and the laughs and the stress to experience together, I guess. Yeah. I had completely forgotten about the whole thing on Featherine's head. I don't know why. I know they mentioned it. They mentioned it a couple times before. I just for some reason completely forgotten about it. I'm like, oh. Oh yeah, that thing, right. Right, it had something to do with memories. And yeah, okay. Okay, interesting. Poor Lambda. Yes, sadness. Sadness. Thanks for hanging out, Mo-chan. Yeah. She was really cool this time though. She had really cool moments in the stream, so I'm happy to have experienced that. Yeah, it's interesting as a concept. But the whole, yeah, you just get smashed by something or other. I haven't decided yet. Even if it's a sad moment, it kind of like it cracked me up. It couldn't not crack me up because yeah, it's too funny. I guess this summarizes Umineko. It even in the most painful moments, it has like a little bit of of either hope or humor or somehow a weird mix of both. Anyways, yeah, we will pick it up from there next time. It seems to have started off another hype moment, I guess, at least judging by the music. The music was really pumped up, so curious to see how that will go. And yes, we have briefly checked, and I will double check just to make sure. It will be the 1-year anniversary stream on Thursday. 1 year of Umineko. Yikes. It's been a long time. Those daters. Her horn thing is her hard drive. Any writer's weak point. Yeah, I see. Alright. Yeah. I'm quite tired and destroyed, so I will go rest for now. Thank you so much for joining me again. It's always a blast to share this story with you. So let's keep doing that. We've been doing that for a year, and we're gonna keep on keeping on because there's still some parts of it left. So yep. See you Thursday. Take care and have a good end to your day today. Love you.